Hey there, this is the Ranch Fairy, and I've been running 4 Fletch this year. There's the old feathers. And this is the Ranch Fairy arrow. We'll talk about that too. 4 Fletch. One of the prototypes got bloody. And, more to come. Okay, so I've been piddling around this year since about, April, May, with 4 Fletch, put a turbulator on there, and I usually shoot feathers. And I got to talking to the guys at Sirius about building an arrow that's 4 Fletch, and I'll cover why here in a little while. For anyone to get a good set of arrows, spined properly, 100 grain inserts already installed, but fletched. If you don't want to, if you don't fletch your own, you don't cut your own, you don't do all the customization, and you want to just have a great arrow and have it ready to roll. There's still a process, so we're going to go through some of that. And then there's a pretty cool offer with the Ranch Fairy arrow. And just warning, if you think my name's on it, and I'm not making gas money and time money, and a little bit of money to pay for all the trips up and down, killing everything and doing the videos, you're crazy. So if that offends you, unsubscribe button is below. Just hit that. See ya. All right. So when I got talking to the Sirius guys, I know I'm going to get the comments, but fella, you're a feathers guy. Yep. Most of the time, I'm a feathers guy until it's impractical, like really raining hard, or if I went to the Pacific Northwest or somewhere like hunting deer in Alaska or anything in Alaska and it's going to rain, I'm going to shoot vanes. It's just more practical. It's one less thing to worry about. Feathers are really hard to custom build. They're just feathers. They're annoying. So it's impractical for a lot of people to build them on a mass scale. And secondarily, 95% of you guys shoot vanes anyway. So I don't know where we're shipping the arrows. I don't know where you live. It's easier to shoot the vanes. You have a choice on these guys between all white or the Batman, okay? And we have a little wrap. We put that on there because the adhesion's a little better, just so you don't have problems once you get them. In the kit, everything's a kit with the Fowler. You're buying a half dozen or a dozen arrows, got that. I always want you to tinker, okay? So your first tinker is gonna be, you're gonna get 125 and a 200 grain field point. That's going to allow you to mess around with 525 to 550 and then 600, 625, depending on the shaft you get. The 250s are a little heavier if you have to spine up and shoot over 65 pounds. But what this allows you to do is play with a couple of different field point weights, and they come with the Ranch Fairy arrow. This will allow you to do 2 things. It'll allow you to paper tune with both weights. Fletched paper tuning is already covered on YouTube, and I know you watch a lot of other stuff. That's good. Go get all the information you can before you make a decision. Got that. It'll allow you to fletched paper tune with 2 different weights, and then once they're flying, it'll allow you to go shoot 50 or 60 yards with 2 different weights and see what the trajectory is and if it's acceptable for what you do. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go on a little bit of a rampage this year. 200 grain broadheads are the next level. The 200 grain and up stuff. The steel's thicker, the steel's better, they hold an edge better, and they handle this thing called impact way better. So if you get your old 85 grain broadhead or 100 grain with the old .030 razor sharp blades, they're not an expandable. They're a collapsible. And the blades can explode on impact because they're going really kind of fast. And if you shoot an adult arrow, there's a lot of momentum and impact. When you upgrade to a 200 grain point, it adds forward to center, and then you have this tremendous impact tool to handle whatever it hits because you can't predict what it's going to hit. Now, This is our prototype. We didn't have the wrap on it, and we were messing around. You see that one's got a little bit of carnage on it. It's been about 2 weeks since I shot it, so it's not as carnagey as it was. But here's what happens when you shoot one through a pig. It's really fun. So your first step is to make sure your bow's moderately square. So you grab your bow, you put an arrow on the bow like that, raise the rest, and then look at these two pictures. It wouldn't be the great video without the wizard. So here's a couple of pictures the wizard sent me to just double check how to look at your bow and make sure it's square. The first look's going to be across this area right here. Those are the burger holes right there. Make sure it's level. And then you're going to look down on top of the bow and make sure it's not cattywampusing off to one side or the other. Set up a paper tuning rig. You can, I've gotten pictures of all kind of cool stuff. The most practical thing is just get a box, cut a square in it, put some paper over it. Make sure it's tight, and make sure it's far enough away from your target that it clears the paper, because if the paper's here and the shaft hits the target, it'll shake and it'll give you, and you'll go crazy thinking you're getting nunchucks when the shaft's just shaking in the target. Got it? So it needs to clear, you know, get it back a yard or longer than the arrow. Is that fair? Got it. Make sure you don't miss, and don't shoot downhill. So don't put the target on the ground. It can give you false elevation readings. Try to get it level with you when you paper tune. So go on YouTube, find a paper tuning video. There's millions of them. And Fletched paper tune. And shoot both points through paper. If it paper tunes, it paper tunes. If you're going to do something and you want to start right, start with the 200. So I would do that. Next step. Take your arrow. Take all your arrows and number them. So just write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that. So I wrote a number 1 on there. You're going to number all the arrows and group shoot them. Remember, this is after you've checked your bow. Make sure the arrow's running down the middle and horizontal. And then you shoot through paper. Get it shooting through paper straight. And then number all the arrows. And you're going to knock tune them. Generally speaking, they're not going to wander, but you're just looking for the bad kids. There's nothing wrong with us bad kids. And you can actually play with the knock tune with both field points. So get yourself the first arrow. It's numbered, right? It's the sexy wrap, all white. I want the Batman version, whichever one. Doesn't matter. Take your fancy arrow. And just put it on there with that number in a certain position. Doesn't matter, in case you have to rotate the knot. Okay? Draw your bow back. And shoot your target. Okay? You're going to shoot all of them. You can waste your time shooting reps and checking your form and making sure your wheelie whacker, right lip of your, you know, whatever's touching your nose, or I don't know what you people, some of you people are crazy in your form stuff. You can mess around and try to outshoot a bad arrow, but you can't. Yeah, it's better to have really good arrows. So group shoot them, and group shoot them over and over again. Group shoot them with the 125, group shoot them with the 200, and just see if any of them wander. If any of them misbehave, and this will probably show up at 30 or 40 more than 20. So you might want to back up, piddle around, just have fun for once in your life. Quit being so serious. If, you know, number 4 and number 8 are just weird, right? If they're just weird, take your knock and just turn it to the next position in between the fletchings. Don't put it with the vane out where they hit the cables. I'll show that to you in a minute. You always want to rotate it. You got 4 positions to rotate it. If one of them's misbehaving, just check it. Instead of spending time shooting crappy arrows and trying to outdo the bad arrows, make your arrows better. That's why you're going to be able to noctune. The 4 Fletch allows 4 positions to noctune and gives you a chance to really hyper tune the arrows. I don't expect many of them to wander 4 inches off, but if one of them just constantly, you're going to shoot 100 arrows a day, could you please just shoot 40 like this and try and see if one of them's kind of weird? If it is, turn the nock to the next position. Hang on, I got to get my arrow. And of course I hit him perfect. Gosh, shooting the EZV sight. What else would it be? So, yeah, that's where you shoot them if you want to kill stuff. All right, so, oh boy, stuck in there pretty good. Yeah. So, we got our arrow. I'm not group shooting them. You get the concept, right? I just want you to shoot all of them and double check it. That was the 200 grain point, which we've already covered this awesomeness. There's 2 things that are really practical about 4 Fletch. Let's just say this arrow noctunes and it's perfect. So I got a number 1 on there. Okay. I'm going to mark the wrap that's the noctune, so that when I'm hunting, I know to put the arrow in that position. That's the ideal position. Okay. This number 1 here, it was a reference point, but I shot it in that position. It's fine. Okay. That's where you want to put them when you're shooting 3D or hunting. With a 3-fletched arrow, there's really only one way to put them. Okay. They end up with the cock feather up. This one, you want to make sure that it's always in this position with the 2 vanes towards the cables so they'll clear. If it was in this position, it might hit the cables. See that right there? It might hit the cables right there and bounce off. Dr. Ashby's the first person I ever heard talk about this. And he said because the buffaloes get a little frisky when you stick them. And they might run 20 yards or 15 and turn around and look at you like, I'm big and you're not. If you need to do a follow-up shot with a 4-fletched arrow, you'll always clear the cables, even if it's out of noctune. Okay? But Fowler, we just noctuned all that stuff, but only in the perfect spot. I got you. On a 3-fletched arrow, if you're looking at something that's gonna bite your leg or run over you, and you put it on a little cattywampus, and the vane is out of position because you're not looking, you're looking, making sure that something's not gonna come trundle over you and turn you into the stuff in between a buffalo's toes, and you put it on and shoot, and the vane hits the cable, I promise you, it's gonna kick. It's not as much of an error to put it on out of noctune as it is to have a piece of plastic hit the cables. When you're sitting around, I've said this a bunch, but it still applies. Sitting around with your fat friends on Tuesday and warming up, talking a bunch of trash, boat up, got your fat brim going, really gonna get it. After your 37th shot, you're pretty warm and you're good and you got your shot cycle down. Some of you guys hunt where it's cold. I don't. I live in Texas. If it gets below 40, we're dying. Some of you people, it's cold. You walk in 2 miles, shimmy up a tree in the old saddle, get your old tethered saddle, get you a Phantom, get up there. It's 8 degrees. Come along about 9:30, your bladder's full, and here comes the deer you've been hunting. I'm going to guess that your form isn't going to be the same. So if you think you got to get perfect back tension, and whatever a surprise release is, me and Tanaka talk about that all the time. Get a release that surprises you so you shoot better so you don't know when it's going off. About that. I'm not doing that. I got the old flipper. I'll just rip it. So your bladder's full. It's 8 degrees. You're kind of freezing. You hadn't had 18 warm-up shots with your fat friends in 75-degree temperatures. Smoked 3 cigarettes or whatever. You draw back, and it's a big one. So you had some of this. And maybe there's some wind. be way better if you had good arrows that fly all the time and spend a little time knock tuning, you know, when you were warm with your fat friends, and that arrow's going to go where it's supposed to. Just saying. If you're bow hunting, that's pretty practical. That's a very realistic situation, especially when the big one comes and you're kind of wiggly, but your form requires you to be right here, and every time you got to go like this and pull back, or it doesn't shoot straight because your arrow's a piece of garbage. Just saying. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, you and me, bud. Don't tell anybody about this stuff. Don't share this video. And if you don't like what I said, just unsubscribe. It's fine. Hey, this is the Ranch Fairy. Practical knowledge. Shoot adult arrows hoodie. You can get you one of those and cut the strings off, because nobody uses that string anyway. Hit the subscribe button below. Stay tuned. More madness and practical stuff. Some sarcasm. And I seem to laugh a lot more than a lot of channels, so you got that going for you. At least it's going to be fun. Ranch Fairy.